far more, and we look forward definitely to covering this particular event in the coming days. And many thanks for your great insights, and we'll definitely be getting more updates on this. Well, time to take into matters entrepreneurship, and who best to have with us in studio other than Jeff Njao. Many thanks for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
Looking sharp, never disappointed.
Thank you, thank you. You too.
And we've been having an interesting journey, and today it's about the money.
It's about the money.
In fact, we said mbesha.
It's about besha.
And this is a very critical stage for any entrepreneur looking to take their business to the next level. Walk us through the sources of funding for a young entrepreneur, and of course, talk to us about some of the key issues around the money aspect.
All right. First, money is very important. Money is extremely, extremely important. My opening statement is that there's money everywhere. There's money in every space. There's money in every field. You don't need to go out and do something else because you think there's money in that other space. You don't need to start this because you've heard your friends are in that. So one, there's money everywhere. That's opening before. So that's on the choice of what to do. But now how to do it, how to finance the doing what you want to do. The first source is obviously your savings. Have you saved some money? If you're intending to do some business, if you're employed, it would be good to start keeping money aside. If you're doing some business already somewhere, start putting money aside. Savings are always a good thing. Savings are the first go-to because once savings are interest-free. So having them, they are the cheapest source of money. Savings are good when they've been done over time, but sometimes we don't have the benefit of savings.
Sure.
So we go to the second source, family and friends. So family and friends are good and bad, all in the same, it's a double-edged sword. So you need to look for family and friends who can be able to, one, get your idea, get this thing that you're trying to do. They don't give it to you because they are, I want to use another, a normal Kenyan word. They are wishying you.
I know. And Jeff, I'd like you to pause for a moment. Because we want to cross over to Berlin in Germany, where we have the Principal Secretary for Tourism, Fatuma Hirsi, attending the ITB forum that is happening in Germany. And I understand we have the connection there in Berlin, where a big delegation from Kenya is taking part in this year's ITB. And good afternoon from Kenya, Madam PS. Perhaps walk us through what is the latest in terms of developments around tourism at the ITB for this year.
Thank you very much, Abby. We are at ITB Berlin in Germany, and we are here as Kenya Tourism Board, and I am leading the delegation from the ministry. We also have members of Parliament in the Committee of Sports, Culture and Tourism.
Well, sorry for that. We will be reconnecting with the PS for Tourism, Fatuma Hirsi, in a short while. But of course, that is the ITB forum. And I understand the line is back on. And let me just re-establish this. And can you hear me, Madam PS?
Hold the mic. I can hold it up. Yeah.
Well, she's definitely getting ready there. And Madam Fatuma, just give us a sense of the environment and the feeling right now at the conference, and what is at stake for Kenya? Apologies for that. We definitely will be fixing that up. Of course, technology has its ups and downs, but we shall have it back on in a short while. Let's cross back to our conversation with Jeff. Well, Jeff, you're talking about the sources of funding. You talked about savings. You had gone to family, friends.
Yes.
Please carry on.
Family and friends.
Yes.
Family and friends are a double-edged sword. They're good and bad at the same time. The advantage of family and friends is that if they buy your idea and they can be able to get it, then it's a cheap source of money. Maybe it will not be, they won't give you the money with interest. Now, the disadvantage is in the event that your idea fails, you will always be bumping into them in your family events, and they will always remind you. Or if you're very successful, they don't get professional. They don't know when to stop. You may have some challenges with them. So it's a double-edged sword. So that's family and friends. The third source of funding is financial services institutions. That's your banks, your SACCOs. Nowadays, what we call the credit companies, which are sophisticated Shylocks. Let's start with banks. Banks only give you financing if you have had some history with them.
Sure.
So at the very beginning...
By history here, you mean, of course...
You've done some transactions.
You have some bank statements.
You have some bank statements.
To show that you've been
earning
a salary.
And the bank statement has some weight.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Know? Oh, yes.
So that's the second thing. That's the first guy, your bank. Your SACCO is your next guy. Your SACCO is... the SACCO has a bit less stringent rules of access for the funding. As long as there's someone who can guarantee you, then they'll be in a good place and they can be in a space where they can fund you the money. So at the very beginning, a SACCO will be more friendly than a bank. The third institution is now your sophisticated microfinance institutions. That's your normal institution that does logbook loans, that does your Shylocks.
Yes.
They are the worst in as far as interest rates are concerned, but they are the best in as far as access is concerned.
All right.
So, and that's why they are thriving right now, because to a good extent, you find that you can go in the morning, and when you within 2-3 hours you have the money. So that's a disadvantage in terms of the cost, because it's a bit expensive to get money from these kinds of guys. But the reason why they're in the market and right now they are doing extremely well is because they meet the gap of access. So those are some of the ways that you can be able to raise money. Then you obviously have your venture capital. Venture capital is where you sell your idea to an institution, and they hear you and they put in money in your business for some share of the the company.
Yeah, it's like they are owning a stake in your company.
They own a stake in your company.
All right.
Unfortunately, in the country, in Kenya today, we don't have very many venture capitalists. But along the way, they are increasing by the day. And one of my challenge to any venture capitalist listening to us is that some of them, they start up a business at very high rate. They say that they can only pick up a business after you've done turnovers of, $10,000, $100,000, which is between $1 million to 10 million. Many of businesses are not yet there. So my advice to them will become a bit lower, because there are some businesses that just need a bit of push to be able to get into that space.
All right. And remember the example we had last time of Njoroge with the car wash. And still having that gentleman in mind. Now that you've identified, say, your source of funding is savings and you want to do a mix with, say, a loan. You've had a budget of, let's talk about 500,000 to do a modern day car wash. So 200,000 you have as savings. You've gone to the bank, they say, all right, you pass the mark. Here's the money. Now, you have the source of funding. What next?
So let me come back to this guy. Our guy, Njoro, he wants to implement. First, I want to go backwards for our viewers for the guy who has not yet gotten this money. For Njoro before he gets the money, because that's a bit of where the problem is. What options does he have? He wants to buy this thing for 500K. He has some 200 saved. and he needs a gap of 300. The first counsel I would give him is financial services institutions are very open to asset loans. You get me? Where the security of that money that you're borrowing from them is an asset, is something tangible. When it's an asset, it means that in the event that you default, they can take the asset and sell it and they get back their money. Asset loans are usually easier to get. You get me?
Sure.
So the first counsel I would give him first is when he's doing his normal business, and any entrepreneur out there, they need to know that getting access to credit might be a possibility. So you need to start preparing early, ab initio, from the beginning.
Correct.
How do you prepare? You prepare by ensuring all your transactions go through the financial services institutions. You see, right now, I don't know how much you make or you don't make. I don't know how much Njoro does in a day. It will be his word against any other person.
Sure.
But if every single day he banks the money, every single day he banks and withdraws, he can be able to go to a bank manager, SACCO manager, or even the microfinance institution and tell him, hey guys, as you can see very well from my statements, every day I bring in 10K. I do 20 transactions of 500 bob each. You get me?
Sure.
So you create, the first counsel I give all entrepreneurs, you need to create track record of your transactions within the banking or financial services or systems. That's number one. When you do that, then those transactions speak on your behalf.
Very, very important.
You know, that's the first thing. The second thing is now go to them and tell them that you want an asset finance loan. Asset finance loans are usually a bit easier to get as opposed to the normal working capital loans.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I understand we are almost running out of time. And if you're to summarize this very important fourth episode of the entrepreneurship journey, talk to us about the key aspects that someone should not forget out of this.
One thing you should never forget out of this, which I've already mentioned, ensure that you have track record. You put your money through the system so that there's visibility. That's number one. Number two, this whole story of keeping your money in your pocket, keeping your money under your mattress, and no one knows about it, it will not help you. Financial services institutions are there to do that. The second thing, build relationship with your financial services institutions.
Sure.
Know your banker. Let them know you by name. Let them know that you have a car wash, you have a salon. Have conversations with them. Banks are comfortable, financial services institutions are comfortable giving to someone they know, not someone whom has just come in and they've never seen in their entire lives. So that's the second thing. The third thing is don't be afraid to go out to look for credit.
Wow.
Don't be afraid.
That's a
as long as whatever you're borrowing for will bring back money.
All right.
Not to borrow for weddings or for luxuries or things that will not. As you ask for money from financial services institutions, be it SACCOs, banks, whatever, ensure that they will bring back some money because remember they have an interest laden.
Sure.
Yes.
Fantastic. Always a pleasure speaking to you, Jeff Njau, our in-house entrepreneurship coach, if I may use those terms.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you've learned a thing or two today on the journey to becoming an entrepreneur. And of course, you can only get this here on KTN Business Today. Well, it's a wrap from us. Many thanks for your valued company. Keep it locked on KTN News for more updates and of course, analysis. Coming up next is our Swahili team with Mbiu ya KTN.